Hey everybody, it's Mike Young, lifestyle nutritionist with aPlantBasedDiet.org. Welcome to chapter 40 of my book, Live to 150. This chapter is about life purpose. It's finding your own life purpose. It's living it. I don't know what stage you're at, but you have to be intentional about this in almost every case. Kind of like, most things in life, it requires work and intention to figure out your life purpose. And I do think that everybody has a life purpose, but not everybody takes the time to figure it out. It's kind of like personal finance. Nobody plans to fail, but they do fail to plan. And the same thing is going to be here. Because if you don't know what your life purpose is, you feel just like a pinball just being knocked around by somebody else in a machine. You're really not enjoying life all that much, and you're definitely not doing what you want to do, and you probably feel like somebody else is to blame for just about everything. So if you do figure out your life purpose, and I hope that you do, maybe this chapter will inspire you to do so, you will just reach a whole other level of living that you don't even know exists. And that's the point of living to 150. It's the quality rather than the quantity, but you get the quantity along with it, but you're also going to get a quality of life like none other. So this is worth doing, even though I'd say, depending on who you're hanging around with, and hopefully you're not hanging around with a bunch of people that say there's no point to life and we're just wasting our time and gotta do this, gotta do that. I'd say if it's more so than at any point in history. I'm recording this video in 2022. I'm 52 years old, 52 years young. It used to be you were so limited in what you could do. The opportunities were so small, but nowadays with the internet and the long tail of the internet, that has opened up so many opportunities to people. It's crazy. So you can live the life you really want to live, a life that only you can imagine. And that's the point of life's purpose. So let me go through a quick exercise here that might help you to determine your life purpose, and just replay this video if you want to hear this again. But there's really four different things, and four different things, four different parts to life that when they overlap and they're all working in harmony, you have found your life purpose. All right, first one is, what do you love doing? It has to be something you really love doing. If it's not something you love doing, it's probably not part of your life purpose. If you haven't found something you love doing, then keep looking. Like I said, it's not like you're growing up in the 70s and 80s like I was. And if you, depending on where you lived, if you were isolated from so much of life, you didn't even know what was going on unless it happened to show up on primetime television with one of the three networks, that was in existence, NBC, CBS, and ABC at the time. That's the only way you knew something existed. And if you even could get to a library, a lot of times they didn't have all the information. Well, they definitely didn't have it. And if you wanted something, you had to look it up in the card catalog. They have to ship it over there. You have to wait. Everything's instant now on the phone, right? Everything is instant. There's my diagram of life purpose. Can you see that? Ooh, there it is. Okay. So what's the other things? The other three or the four? What does the world need? So you have to be doing something that is needed in the world. If you think, well, first of all, there's many things that are needed. There are many things that are totally frivolous. And if you're working on something and you're not sure if the world really needs it, just ask people. Ask people. You need to be open to constructive criticism. You really need people to be straight up honest with you about either what you're doing, if you're doing a good job, or if the world even needs it. They will tell you. You just ask them. If you didn't find anything, if you're working on the wrong thing and nobody you admire really thinks that this is anything the world needs, and just keep looking around. Like I said, you got the world of information in your phone. You can figure something out that the world needs. You can figure out not only something that the world needs that you would love to participate in, but find out something you would love doing. The act of whatever it is, you have to love doing it. Otherwise, it's not part of your life purpose either. So these two things have to be working in harmony with one another. Another thing, are you any good at it? Again, you need people that surround you to give you some direct feedback, some unfiltered feedback that may be hurtful, Because if you are not good at something, I don't care if the world needs it. I don't care if you love doing it. If you're not good at it, then it's not part of your life purpose. You need to keep looking. It's not to say that you can't get better at things, because you can. And maybe if you realize, oh shit, this thing I've been working on, it's actually my life purpose, maybe that will motivate you in a way where you're going to double down and you're going to get way better at what it is that you do, because you couldn't imagine yourself doing anything else. And so much of doing anything is motivation, proper incentives. So this is a good thing. All criticism, all constructive criticism, all opinions are all good. Take them as that. Don't take them as someone trying to cut you down or destroy you or whatever. Even if it's someone that hates you and wants to see you fail, there's probably some element of truth in what they're saying. So you need to analyze this and figure out how this is going to fit into these three things: what you love, what the world needs, and what you're good at. And you can still get better. Like I said, don't think it's the end just because you're not good at it. No, you can still get better, because it could be that the next thing you find, you're not going to be good at either. And both of these paths are going to require you to up your skills and to improve your craft, whatever it might be. And all this stuff can be done. You know why? Because you have the internet. You have all the information. And if you're not good at it, you can get good at it. That's probably the one thing of these three that I've named already that you can actually change if it's not the way you want it. Because if you don't love something, chances are, unless you were exposed to a really bad version of it, you're just not going to love it. And, if the world doesn't need anything, unless you are just way ahead of your time and you're going to work on something that in 50 years, everyone's going to want, the world, you just can't do anything about those two. But if you're not good at it, you can still do something. That's the one area where you can do something. And what's the last one? Well, it has to be something you can be paid for. Not always. If you're independently wealthy, don't worry about it. You do whatever you want. I guess you don't need this last one, but ideally, if it's truly your life purpose, society will find some way to compensate you and allow you to make a living off of it, and it will be sustainable. Because so many things that people do are not sustainable. And I don't mean they're using plastic, okay? I mean, can whatever it is that you're doing be self-supporting? Or is it going to require some sort of assistance or welfare program or whatever you want to call it from some other source in order to keep it going? So that's the fourth one. It's very important, because if you are independently wealthy, I guess it doesn't matter so much. Although even if you're independently wealthy, if it's so draining financially, what you're doing, it may end up draining all of your wealth away. And I mean, if that results in a massive change in the world, maybe it was worth it. Maybe that's why you were here. I'm very much an optimist when it comes to these things, but for the average Joe and Jane, you've got to be able to be paid for what you do, unless you're independently wealthy. Let's talk about most people that are not independently wealthy. You've got to make sure it's sustainable. Now, from our point of view, what we do, I believe my life purpose is what I'm doing right now, which is getting this information out to you. We have our nonprofit, aPlantBasedDiet.org, aPlantBasedDiet.org. We have another nonprofit we still haven't even fully launched yet. It has been launched, but it hasn't been implemented yet. But our definition of sustainable is that we're not losing money. We do events, and these events they have a lot of expenses along with them. But as long as we are not in the hole on our events, and we're just breaking even, because I haven't found the way to make money off this, okay? Although maybe this will help, because we're delivering for free to people, and we really want you to tell others about it. Because as long as people watch it, our organization will bring in some money off of this YouTube channel, which is awesome. So that could propel us into this category where we are actually being paid by society for what we do. And that's the whole point of this whole, well, no, it's not the entire point, but that is one of the hopes of doing this. Just like our events, also the hope is that we are able to make money off, and maybe we will as time goes on. Maybe we will on this venture as time goes on. Maybe we will on other things as well. But this is kind of for me, if you want, my take on it, for my life purpose, this is me living that out. And it's a struggle. It's always a struggle, but you've got to be mindful. If you think you're just working a job just to work a job and just because the bills have to get paid, you're in a different headspace of what I'm talking about. And we need you to try to get into somewhere else, or at least have a plan to. I'm not saying that everyone has the luxury of being able to determine their life purpose right now and live it out like right now, but at least should be a goal, something that you're working towards. And, if, let's say, the only thing holding you back from your life purpose is the fact that you are so burdened with finances that you can't do what you really want to do, well, let's start to cut that away. Either live a more minimalist lifestyle or have a plan of investing and saving, and mostly investing, so that you're going to have other sources of income, so that you won't have to work as much at this 9-to-5 that you have, and you can transition into whatever it is that is your life purpose. But either way, you've got to be intentional. You've got to have goals. And of course, we have a chapter on goals. That was early on, because I told you how important this is. And this is why, because if you don't have this goals thing down, when it comes to life purpose, you're never going to figure out your life purpose. Because the practice in knowing all this and being able to execute and produce results on the life purpose part is what you have learned by doing these goals for years on end. Some people will figure out the life purpose right away. Other people, like I said, have to work towards it. Other people may not figure it out till you get to a certain point of practicing and living your goals and achieving your goals, like your 1 year, your 5 years, 10 years, and your lifetime. Go back to that chapter if you want to know more about it. But those are just like steps, baby steps or whatever, on the way to figuring out your life purpose. Because a lot of times people don't figure out their actual life purpose until you are a fully grown or mature adult. I'm 52, so supposedly I reached the age of wisdom over 2 years ago. I don't know, but things do become more clear as you get older. But again, it has to be part of the plan. If I wasn't looking for this, what we're doing here with the nonprofit, it wouldn't have just found me. I mean, the idea of this maybe would have found me, but the organization didn't create itself, and all the events that we produce, all the social media, the audiences we've developed, all the content on this YouTube channel, et cetera, that required me on some level, just keeping thinking about it, envisioning it, and working towards it. So don't think that you're just going to determine your life purpose and then it'll just be all sunshine and rainbows, and then it'll just be so easy, you won't have to work at anything anymore, and the money will just come rolling in. That's not usually the way it works. It can work that way, but just like with most things, you don't realize, we're talking life purpose here, you don't realize the amount of work that somebody had to do leading up to when they became a success at something. Because over the years, I've gotten involved in a lot of different business ventures, and all of them didn't start out from nothing to like 100 miles an hour immediately. There was always so much work that went into it in the years before, if I look back. And most people didn't see that work, though. They didn't even know it was there. And they just think, oh, this he must be trained and he knows what's going on. And somebody handed him a big stack of cash to be able to start this business or whatever. That has never been the case for me. I've always had to slowly over time build up my skill set or refine the craft of doing something, so that luck, which is defined as when preparation meets opportunity, opportunity meets preparation, that's when it happens. And the same is true with this life purpose thing. And like I said, I'm very much an optimist. Yeah, I guess somebody could just stumble on it one day and their whole world is turned upside down, and it's the easiest thing ever, and it feels like they were never living to that point in time, and et cetera, et cetera. But the reality is, that's not how it's going to work for most people. You've got to follow these steps. And if you're not working on your goals, go back to that chapter. Okay, it's early on in this book, and watch that as many times as you need to watch that until you get the goals down. Okay, because until you get the goals thing down, it becomes part of your life routine. You're probably not going to figure out what your life purpose is, and we don't want that to happen. So thank you so much for watching. And if you know what your life purpose is, please write it in the comments so others can see. If you don't know, tell me a little story. I don't know. What have you done? Why do you think you don't know? Do you think you'll ever know? I think you will, but I want to know where you are in life. Let me know that in the comments too. But be sure to like the video if you got some value out of this, and of course, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next chapter. Bye-bye.